o'clock. Good evening, everyone. My name is Colette Gelwicks. I'm chair of the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee. Today's date is November 25th, and the time is 6 p.m. Thank you for the alarm, Sandy. This meeting of the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee is now called to order. Welcome to any members of the public who are dialing in tonight or who are here in person. As a reminder, the role of this committee of community volunteers is to advocate for the vision, goals, policies, and strategies of the Odenton Town Center Master Plan. I'd like to invite all committee members to be mindful in your questions and comments so that everyone has an opportunity to contribute. And also ask that you ensure that your input remains professional and respectful. Finally, our meeting is currently scheduled to end at 7:30 p.m. And so let's make that happen. All right, so we are going to move forward with our administrative items, and thank you, Jason. We're going to try to keep this brief. If there's no objection, I would like to ask that the agenda is adopted as presented. Excellent. All right, hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Moving on to the meeting minutes. If there's no objection, I would like for the minutes of the October 28th meeting to be considered approved. All right, excellent. The meetings are approved. All right, we will move forward with our developer presentation. Welcome. I'm assuming you will be presenting. And I will just pass it on to you. Committee members, please hold your questions until the end of the presentation. And please, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Marilee Tortorelli. I'm with Morrison Ritchie Associates. We're the engineers, planners, and surveyors for the Odenton Junction Apartments project. We came here a year ago, June 24, with both phases. At the time, it wasn't phased. It was one big project. Once we submitted preliminary plan, the county was saying that Dare Street, which runs through the project, which phase 2 is the red square up on the screen, and phase 1 is the gray L shape to the right. They were considering that Dare Street, even though it goes through private property, was cutting the property into 2 pieces, so we had to process as 2 phases. So last time you saw it was all one big project. In working through, we actually just received phase 1 approval today. Brian Lopez is back here, he's the applicant for the project. But we had one little thing that I think it was a misunderstanding on our part. The Odenton Town Center, 2024 Odenton Town Center Chapter 3 requires that we have 50% building facade along at least 2 roads, and because the county was calling Dare a road, that's where we kind of got messed up, was we faced all of our roads to the Hale and Odenton Town Center Boulevard, because those were the 2 main roads, and we felt like everything else was internal. So what we had to do is ask for a modification to the 50% frontage facade, along Dare Street. Part of our modification was done. It was mailed out to all the property owners within 300 feet. And we, overall, we do have 57% facade coverage, just most of it is on Hale Street. So we have 90% facade on Hale, and then 26% on Dare. The property is only an acre, and of that, 0.32 acres is being given to the county for right-of-way for Dare and for Hale. So we have a very small site to work with. Do you want to switch? Could you go to the? So yeah, it's so small. I'm sorry. The site is so little. Phase 2 is on the left. I do have 2 plans here. I have the one that we showed you last time. We actually revised a little bit. We have more public activity space at the bottom of the property, and then our entrances are aligned with the phase 1, which are the larger multifamily buildings. There's 2 of them facing Hale and Odenton Town Center. These are 2/2s with garages. So what we're proposing is, and you can see it better on the elevations, but we have the facade, which is along Dare, and then we have a 3-foot wall screening the driveways that serve the 2/2 units, and then we have our entrance, And then on the other side of the entrance is a wall that also screens the dumpsters. So I don't know if you want to go to there's another one.
Yep,
More.
this
Yeah,
one.
there you go. This is, I think, easier to see than any of them. So Hale Street's on the right. Hale Street is being developed by the applicant at the Odenton Town Center requirements. It has a lane, parallel parking, 10-foot walkway, and then the buildings that you see there on the right are about 10 foot from the sidewalk. And then as you turn, we're actually like standing on Dare looking at this elevation. The 10-foot follows through along Dare. And then we have the small wall, you can see where the cars are. And then the left side is the dumpster screening wall, and we have a large public activity space behind that, so you're seeing a playground, like the top of a playground there. So really, we're just, because it is really one project, even though we're processing it as a two, we're asking for a reduction to that 50% just on Dare. Do you want me to go through the?
Yeah, everybody's received this ahead of
Okay.
time, so I think probably for the interest of time, I'll collect
Great.
that discussion.
Thank you
Sure.
so much. So I'm happy to open it up for any questions, please. Since we're really just here as a committee to focus on the modification request, please keep your questions and comments strictly to the request for the facade. Sorry, percentage, is that what we're calling it here?
The reduction.
Yeah, the reduction in the percentage. So are there any questions?
So a comment, so I very much appreciate you adding this image to the document.
Sure.
Because that actually helps us understand. The one thing which I admit I got to go back and read what our comments were. Is there going to be, so since this is treated as an interior road and you want that modification, is there any other changes other than basically to the plan other than just the modification request? So did you have to change any of the layout, anything presented that was right along Dare Street to fit this modification request, or is it?
No, we've always had the entrance there.
Okay.
Only thing that changed, I don't know if Mark, you can go back to the old, so this one, there, that was the original. We had an island in the middle with stormwater management. And through the process working with the county, they actually allowed us to put some of the stormwater management underground so we could reduce that paving. So then if you go to the prior one, that's where we're at now. So we have a large public activity space at the bottom now, and then reduce the amount of pervious. So that's mainly the thing that changed.
Okay.
The frontage is still the same.
Frontage is the same, the
10-foot
layout of everything along there, like the lineup of the roads, that's all the same.
That's all
Nothing
the
else
same.
has changed since last time we saw it.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All right, would someone like to make a motion in that case? Actually, are there any questions from online? I want to make sure I get.
It would just be Andrew, I think that's online.
Nothing for me. I'm good. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Although whatever's being presented, Mark, I'm only seeing like a introductory slide, so it wasn't advancing, but I'm good.
That is helpful information.
Yeah, that's what's coming up on, just that first introductory slide?
Yes. Like when you selected like the presentation, it didn't transfer to what you're looking at now for whatever reason.
Well, why don't we let you both figure out
Motion to
the
approve.
tech piece? Thank you. All right, second, great. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, all right. Motion carries with unanimous support. All right, thank you
I
so much.
appreciate your time.
Easy peasy. Thank you so much for coming down this evening.
Sure.
It's easy, the presentation makes sense. And the visual did help.
Yeah,
It's
nice
true.
job. I'm glad you asked for it.
It is true. Yeah. All right, excellent. Moving on, to our year-end review and forward planning agenda item. Yeah, guys, we're like 25 minutes ahead of schedule. This is awesome.
Yeah, I need to switch off.
Mark, if you need a minute,
Thank you.
I'll just invite everyone who's here.
No,
There's
it's just
cookies
us.
and hot chocolate. So please help yourselves.
They'll get people here.
You know, food usually does.
Okay, so like the agenda item says, this is our sort of look back, look ahead situation because we're here in November, so it's a good opportunity, a good breaking point here. And the sort of late fall, early winter is one of those times where we sort of do have a little bit of a lull. So if I hit slideshow, I just want to check to make sure that it's coming
I
through.
can see it.
Okay.
Go to the next slide and see it. Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. So again, this was a slide deck that was presented to everybody back in April, I believe. Just helps put everything in one place about what the roles and responsibilities are of the OTCAC. So again, just a quick recap. Per the code, the OTCAC is to provide written recommendations on development presentations, written recommendations on the annual report, written recommendations on a master plan process when we get to that step, which is, we do that every 5 years. And then you all have an opportunity to review and make edits to your own bylaws, and we'll get to that agenda item here. Well, an aspect of this whole sort of year in review and look ahead. So again, just sort of want to reiterate that the advisory committee's role is to be advisory by providing written recommendations on these, the first 3 items highlighted, and then you all can revise your bylaws as necessary, okay? So again, I know this is smaller and it might even get smaller each time, sort of I look over it and add a couple things or clarify things, but as we move, like I said, it's winter is sort of this lull, but in the spring is when the Office of Planning and Zoning prepares an annual report. That annual report evaluates the strategies in the master plan, and then we present that to you and look for additional sort of tweaks as necessary to the way we're interpreting items, and whether certain sort of items need to be more of a priority or get some more clarification as to why things are happening or why things aren't happening. And then an opportunity to request speakers, because as much as Sam and I know a lot about office planning and zoning, we're not experts in everything as it relates to the Odenton Town Center, like transportation issues, economic development issues, like you all have received presentations from those experts over the past couple months. Then in the summertime, we're going to move this got moved up a little bit, the priority project letter. We're going to start that in the summer rather than when we presented this to you back in April. We had it during the fall. Again, it just allows us to make sure that these requests for capital projects from the advisory committee are going to the necessary folks in a timely manner, and that they have that before their own sort of preliminary budget process kicks off. Okay, then again, here we are in the fall. We provided you a link back to one of the previous meetings where Courtney Wilson from our development division provided a quick overview of the development review process. And again, that's probably not going to change drastically. So, you know, I can always send that back out each year if you guys want to review it. I think I did add it in another slide here that actually shows a flow chart of that review process. I'm more of a visual person, so I find that a little bit more helpful than somebody sort of telling it to me. And then this is our opportunity in the fall for us to then sort of look back on the year. What were some of the major discussions? what were some of the major themes that we can pull out, or some of the major topics that we can pull out and add to a list of, hey, when we do the master plan next time, let's remember to do this, or hey, this is a code item that is really tripping up a lot of applicants. Maybe this is one of those amendments to the code that could be done in the short term, or it just gets recommended during the master plan process. And as the master plan gets adopted, hopefully the decision makers can update the code at the same time so that everything's consistent. And then again, ongoing tasks that we'll be working on are always developing project presentations as they come in through the door. So, and again, Office Planning and Zoning will review those and send them out to the committee. You all have the opportunity to review and comment on those. I don't know if I necessarily need to go over this development presentation process, but again, just once we get through this, and if you have any additional edits, I can PDF this again and put it back out onto the Google Drive for you all to see the newest version that's out there. Yeah, so unfortunately this, it'll be easier for you all to read sort of at your own desks, but again, one of the questions I think that we had received during the survey, member survey, was how does your recommendation fit in the grander Office of Planning and Zoning development review process? You are essentially the first stop for applicants. So right here at the top, there's just some introductory language here explaining the process. But again, everything here on the left-hand side is where you all come into play in the process. So if it's a brand new project, you're the first stop. Office Planning and Zoning, then we receive your letter, it gets folded into our development review process, and then actually tonight's a good example where during that process, if Office Planning and Zoning realizes that there's a different interpretation of some of the code, then the letter that gets sent to the applicant says, hey, we need you to submit a modification, or you need relief for this one aspect. You need to go back to the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee and then get another recommendation that again now goes back into the file for review. So that's why you see yourselves here as the first step, and then somewhere here in the middle. And the other thing too is during some of these development processes, an applicant really changes their design considerably. And so at that point, even though it may not necessarily be a new project, right, they may need to start the process again or actually just get some additional input from you all. So again, just wanted to clarify that in this box here below.
So Mark, in case of like today's, it still is the same question though. There was a material difference, so it could be either relief or significantly changed. Does the proposed change still fit with the goal, the vision, the objectives of the master plan? So a recommendation of approval, just like today, is still to answer that question in all three cases.
Yes, if I'm understanding you correctly, that each time what you all are reviewing is making sure that it's consistent with the vision of the master plan, right?
Okay.
Okay. So with that, so that's the work plan, and again, I tried to work in just a couple extra items that we had pulled then from the survey. Like I said, is where some of the questions that we had asked were, do you find the OTCAC's work meaningful, or what can make it more helpful for you to understand the work that you all do? So again, based on now the work plan, are there any additional items here that need some additional clarification, or anything that might be helpful just so that when there are new members that come aboard, we can share this with them and it's a good sort of lay of the land of what their roles and responsibilities are. So this kind of summarizes some of the...
It's well laid out.
Okay, some of the concerns.
I think the only thing that is not completely clear, and that's in like the next slide and the slide after that, is about the community meeting and how this meeting serves two purposes, right? One is sometimes for a community meeting, but sometimes not. So like the meeting for tonight really was not a community meeting.
Yeah. Can I jump in?
Was it? Yeah, go ahead.
So Colette brings up a good point. In the master plan, or whether it's in the code, applicants are required definitely to always do an Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee presentation of the project. In some cases, if they meet certain criteria, they have to do something called a community meeting. It's actually specified in the code. And applicants are allowed to double dip their meetings, so they can present to the advisory committee, which they're required to do, and they can also have this Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee meeting count as their community meeting. However, when we do a community meeting, we will need to specify that, because there is a checklist that individual applicants need to note when they're reading off the project, and they need to say it's not in the critical area, or what school district, if the schools are open. Some of those things that you don't necessarily always hear in just the OTCAC meeting. And also with the community meeting, there does need to be a public comment period. So we've transitioned to, if it is just an OTCAC meeting, then it is just the OTCAC reviewing, commenting, and providing a recommendation. So, like, I think this might have been something I added because we had talked about it, was note if the meeting is a community meeting or not, and we can do better about that. Maybe either in the agenda, specify it, and if it's not listed, then it wouldn't be, and likewise when we start a meeting.
And so as part of our role then, when we're thinking about, we hear this presentation, if it is a community meeting, any comments as community members, not with our OTCAC hat on, would then be given during the community, like the public meeting, like public comment portion of the meeting then, of that agenda item. So that's a little different than I think what we've been doing.
Yeah, and we haven't had, so when an applicant requests to present, they have to fill out a form, it gets kicked over to the Office of Planning and Zoning. There is a question that says, do you want this to be a community meeting? And so that obviously tells us what direction and what type of additional information we need to provide you all, and we haven't received anything like that recently. I mean, for example, the Odenton parking garage. They did need to do a community meeting, and I asked, do you want to do them together? And he said, no, it allows us a little more flexibility to schedule elsewhere or on our own time, because they have to send out public notice 21 days in advance. And so sometimes they can't always meet our timeline. And so it's easier for them to just, keep the two meetings separate. So that's why we may not always have a community meeting. They may be having their own meeting. Okay, so I think if you want to move on, we can tackle, so there's two parts here, going back to this initial slide. We might actually, we're doing two things tonight. We had a development presentation, and then we'll be looking at our bylaws, or actually three things, and sort of touching on the master plan, looking at amendments, making sure that we got them all. So, Colette, did you want to go to amendments or bylaws first? Do you have a preference?
We can do either, it doesn't matter.
So here's the adopted bylaws. I've got it open as a Google Doc in case we did want to make any changes. And this was adopted back about a year and a half ago, shortly after when the master plan was adopted, because that provided a little additional guidance for these bylaws. We also took that opportunity to standardize them with how the board, the Planning Advisory Board has their rules. They actually call it rules and procedures. But this was, again, an opportunity for us to just sort of dust it off. Abigail had mentioned that we wanted, that see if folks are interested in including a draft code of conduct as well. So I think I'll hand it off to
You wanna say
Colette
that?
or Abigail.
Before you do that, Mark.
Yep.
Didn't you say that the county had something like that already? I thought you did on a call.
No, this wasn't, so I sent this to our Office of Law because the Office of Law reviewed the original rules and procedures before it got sent out. So I wanted to check with them to see if they had any issues or concerns. They didn't bring up, whether other boards and commissions have a code of conduct, but Office of Law wasn't opposed to if the OTCAC wanted to add this to your rules and procedures.
And rules, codes of conduct like this have become pretty standard, honestly, in a lot of boards and committees. And so I thought it was a great idea to consider, for us to consider adopting something. I don't know if you wanted to say anything else, Abigail.
I don't think so. I just thought of it, just some brief statements that could be put in and reminding us that we are here as a volunteer and in a way representative to the community and being mindful of this as a professional setting. So that's what I get to mind.
When I read it, I felt that we were part of Congress, bickering, it's like we're adults, we should know all of these things,
You would think that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I will respect, you're supposed to respect everybody, To me, it was a little easy.
Okay. I will say that I am part of groups in my professional space where a code of conduct was intentionally removed. And it makes it really difficult if there are issues down the line to be able to point and say, hey, we all agreed that we were gonna be respectful to each other. And in a lot of ways, I find a code of conduct it seems obvious, but until you actually have an issue, it's not a problem because we all agree to it. Anyway, these are relatively common. I would assume that everybody wants to be treated respectful.
Right, but it's not gonna make any difference if you're disrespectful, you wouldn't be that way.
Well, I
Well,
think,
yes and no, at least you can point them to
Yeah.
something and say, hey, you agreed to this. These are the things that we said that we would be in terms of how we would treat each other. And you're not abiding by it. And here are the things where we think that, there's an opportunity for us to do better.
I support the idea. I think it's really important to remind ourselves as to how we function as a group, and how we relate to one another. Whether you're disrespectful or not, you should understand what the goal is of the group. And it's obvious, yes, but written down helps you focus on it. It helps you to remember it. And they're common, and they're good practice, and I see it a lot. At my job at Jacobs, we have codes of conduct. Even if I go to a conference, my APTA or somebody else, they have a code of conduct for those coming to the meeting, a conference. So I think it's important, I think it's good. I've seen committees that don't have them, and they don't have respect, the committee just doesn't function so well. I'm all in favor of this, and I think what was provided here is good. So we could always add to this detail, but I think it's fine.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I don't think it's needed.
It's not.
I don't
needed
agree
until-
with it, but no, I don't agree with it, but
It's
it
not
doesn't
needed
matter
until-
because it's not, hold on, let me finish. It's not hurting anything. I'm just voicing my opinion that I don't believe that we need this. We're all adults. We should act that way. But if you feel you need it, okay.
It's not needed until it is. When you get those situations where you have conflict, you can remind people, look, we're all here for this purpose, this is what we tried to agree to do. So,
Sandy, what do you think?
I think to add it in is fine. It's there, it's a matter of record, and then if we have an issue, we can go back to it and say we agreed to the following. So I make a motion we accept it.
Okay, well, now we have a motion on the table. We have a motion on the table, so we do need to move forward with that first.
You have to
Can I
accept.
second it?
If you can second it, I would still like to continue the discussion though and hear from everybody. So Stuart and Jason and Andrew online.
I'm not for it.
Okay,
Been here 20 years with this committee, there's never been any.
okay. All right, thank you for sharing that. Jason?
So I don't have an issue with codes of conduct, having it not. I don't think it should be part of the bylaws. I think that to have a code of conduct is something that if you are an entrant onto the committee or if you're reappointed, that's the time to set the code of conduct for a person, because you're basically saying, hey, welcome to OTCAC. Here's how the committee operates, what the committee does. Here's what we expect of you. And that's really what this is, a list of expectations. And I would say it's a document that somebody should agree to become part of the committee, that this is how the committee functions. I don't see that for a procedural aspect as part of the bylaws, because that's more of a legal structure, and I don't see this as a legal thing.
But it is rules and procedures, so, I mean,
What
so
happens
where
if
would it go?
It's so,
Just as a separate document?
yes. Basically, it's because really the strength of a code of conduct is it's on the individual level. The bylaws and procedures are an organizational construct, where a code of conduct is an individual construct. And so I look at it as two different things.
Okay,
So like, if you're saying like, here's how the committee works, what the expectations are, I don't have any issues with it. I completely understand the points of like, yes, we have these expectations, and that's really what this is, just written expectation.
So how would that be communicated and stored? Is it a document in a drawer? Is it referenced in the bylaws? Or is it?
So,
Who knows who reads it?
fair question. So I would put it as part of the introductory package if you're introducing new members, which is what it sounds like we're heading towards. I was saying like a welcome package. It's like part of the code. Part of the welcome package is here's the function of the committee, here's how the committee works, here's the procedures, here are the expectations we have of you as a committee member. And this is the social expectations. There are also business expectations that we have of committee members, that you will review the materials ahead of time, that you will take your role seriously being on the committee. And I think all of that should be documented, and we should actually get members to agree that that's what they're gonna do, because if someone volunteers to be on the committee, they should spend the time to review the paperwork, the proposals. They should spend the time thinking about how they're going to ask questions to drive the conversation forward. They should think about how they're going to present themselves at the committee. And I think that's the whole package that we really want to present, not just one aspect.
Would this document be on the website?
Yeah, it would be on the website. I would actually have a person sign it in their acceptance to the committee, say, yeah, you know what, I'm accepting to be on the OTCAC. I'm gonna sign the code of conduct acknowledging that I agree on that these are the social expectations. And I would add to this to say, I understand the business expectations of the committee. And that way it's interactive. It's the committee saying, hey, welcome, but you have to agree that you're gonna take this on. And I would get the person to sign it and turn that in, and the county can digitize that and just store it on the shared drive to say, yeah, like, here are all the acceptances of the people who have agreed to be on the committee.
So someone who's new to the committee wants to look at it, would you want them to be able to see the code of conduct? Okay, so it'll be on the website somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I think the strength of this is the person actually signing and agreeing to it in part of the whole package.
Yeah, that's good.
If it requires signing, I may need to go back to the Office of Law to see how they do something. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
that's going another
It's
step,
not a
like,
contract.
beyond.
and really the contract is an acknowledgement that you've read it.
Mhm.
Kind of like a lot of the Privacy Act statements that we have to read with the doctor. It's really, you're not signing to agree with it, you're signing that you acknowledge that you've actually read the document.
For example, going back to the conference, if you are a presenter at a conference, they say, these are our bylaws, these are our code of conduct for the conference. If you are signing up, we are assuming you agree with this. You don't sign anything, but it is there to say,
Yeah.
do you agree with it or not?
It's an expectation.
Expectation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sandy, go
I
ahead.
want to withdraw my motion.
Wow, yeah.
Well, I did.
To vote against.
Let's see if Andrew has anything else to add online.
No, it's okay, the motion's okay. You're in discussion phase at this point.
No, but technically she's allowed to withdraw her motion. but
Yes,
that's the
she
motion.
is, because Andrew, do you have anything to add?
I can see the benefit of having it, but I am in agreement that hopefully it wouldn't really be necessary. So it probably doesn't hurt to have it in place and to be able to refer to it if need be. So I guess I'm ambivalent.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Can I ask, what is the resistance to it? What is the problem that people see by having a code of conduct?
All right, so first off, you shouldn't need a code of conduct. You've gotten this far in your life, successfully it seems, going off of these exact same things, these codes of conduct. I agree that in the welcome packet, yes, I have read and understand the rules, the bylaws, and all that stuff at the committee. I, in good faith, will present myself and read all the material, all that stuff. But just put in a blurb that says, I understand that if I fail to, display these things, then I could be asked to be removed from it. But even if I were to go right now and start swearing or something like that, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
I don't think there's a consequence.
depends on how bright the lights are.
Nothing will happen.
That is part of our rules of procedure.
There's no consequence associated with that. I mean, this is the desire of the thing, how it functions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Put it in the welcome packet.
No, there's no consequence for you, say, if you're getting upset and swearing as you suggested. Yeah. Does that mean we kick you out? No, there's no contract that says if you violate this, you're out. Drew, you're out. So I don't think it's that. It's defining the context of the group. The group wants to work together. You all know this, yes, but it's a reminder that we're here as a group, as a team, and these are some guidelines or rules that will help us be effective.
Put it in the welcome aboard packet.
And we regularly have people joining the committee and
Yeah.
leaving the committee. And so having something in place that just sets out how we agree to be with each other as humans and as members of the committee, it doesn't hurt. I feel like it helps more than it does any harm.
Yeah, I just don't understand why people resist it. Is it because you feel insulted? Is it because you feel you might get called on the carpet for it? Or what is the reason that you would object to trying to define the environment which we want to work?
I would say it's insulting.
I'm sorry.
It
I
would
don't want to
be, I'm
interrupt.
sorry. I would say it's insulting. We need to be reminded at this point in our lives of how to treat people with respect and all that. I get it, you want to put it in there. Hey, if you feel that strongly about it, then put it in the welcome aboard packet, but you should not need to be reminded of this.
I think it's more egregious if people aren't prepared when they come to this meeting
Yes.
and haven't reviewed the documents, haven't gone and visited sites, haven't looked at projects. It's more egregious than any of those words that are up there.
Well, that is part of the code of conduct, actually, the maintaining professionalism. I mean, when I read that, my understanding is coming to meetings fully prepared and reviewing the documents and going to see the site and being ready to engage in the conversation. I mean, that's one of the things when I read it that I understand as part of what I'm agreeing to.
And there may be people around this table who are very familiar with that and have worked in committees all their life, they know. But there could be new people who don't. There could be new people with a chip on their shoulder, they come in here and want to disrupt the committee. It could happen. So.
I've done that a couple times. And I think it's
What?
constructive.
If it's
Okay,
respectful.
I think it's constructive.
If it's respectful, yes.
I see how you can interpret professionals in that way, but you are in a professional setting as well in terms of your career to where I think that I can see how your background would get there. For a layperson joining the committee, where they're not in that professional setting in the government, I don't know if they would reach the same conclusion you on that word.
Do we have language in the rules of procedure around being prepared for meetings? I feel like we have something.
You start at the top.
I read the whole thing today, I don't remember.
I don't know if
I
we have
also read the whole thing
expectations.
today.
Yeah, I don't know if we have expectations.
There's a lot in
Yeah,
there.
because it's kind of pulled almost verbatim from the code, right? So it tells you how you all are organized.
I'll be honest, I didn't write expectations of the
Mhm.
members into the bylaws, so I created the first draft. Because that wasn't the point of it.
Yeah,
That is a gap. I think you're highlighting a good gap. Like, we
Mhm.
need to document, like, the expectations for members, because new committee members need to know what the expectations are.
Yeah.
We have not done a good job, I didn't do a good job of writing that.
you left an opportunity for that, is what I'm hearing.
Chance to grow.
You did very well.
Yep, but I'm acknowledging, like, that was a shortcoming in this, is that, and I think you're highlighting that shortcoming is helping people join the committee and be on the committee is important.
Yeah,
And yeah, we haven't done a great job there, and I didn't drive that one further, so yes, that is something that could work, get work on.
so what are everyone's thoughts around, perhaps adding this code of conduct as part of
Go up.
Yeah, a
a
little bit.
to-be-created welcome packet?
Does that Mark has to check the feasibility of that?
I don't know if we necessarily need people to sign this, if it's part of just a packet of like,
Yeah.
hey, here are the expectations, here are the rules, here's the link to the development presentation, you know, here's where you find information from last year's meetings if you wanna catch yourself up.
Maybe like an acknowledgement of receipt.
Yeah.
I've read what was sent
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah,
I'm going to add to that, if it's a welcome package to be created, that it also is somewhere on their website. It is available,
yeah, so that everyone has access to it at all times, I
see
know,
what we're.
I completely agree.
Website, do you mean the county facing website or the Google Drive?
I was thinking more the Google Drive, I'm not sure.
I was thinking
what
the
they're thinking.
OTC website,
Yeah.
for that, because at that point, you can also link it to when there are vacancies, people can learn about, like, the committee, the expectations, et cetera, and that can be in the vacancy for the OTCSC, so people know what they're signing up for.
Yeah,
And you could put in, conduct of people who are as guests, observing
Mhm.
and wanna be, part of the public.
that is part of our rules of
Yeah,
procedure and
that's-
bylaws, actually. So there, that is kind of outlined in that document. Okay. So I'm not hearing that there's a overwhelming desire to change the rules of procedure with the code of conduct at this time. But to include it as a separate document. Mark, do we need to vote on that?
No, I mean, I think that can just be a best practice of Office of Planning and Zoning.
Yeah.
When we typically do an orientation, right, I think I've always reached out to you all when you first joined, so if you wanna take a tour of the area and we talk all about a lot of things that have been going on, some of the history. So we can bring this up as well.
Okay.
Go over the rules and procedures, go over code of conduct, go over expectations of reviewing materials before you come to the meeting, that sort of thing.
I didn't get it over.
You didn't get it? I'll sign you up.
We may have a new member joining soon, now that we have someone leaving, so you can tag
Yeah,
along
okay.
to that tour. See if there's anything new that you can learn. All right,
Apologies.
No need to.
well, thank you all very much for your feedback and input on this. Really, really appreciate it.
As for the language, I would make sure it is open to the layperson of Odenton, not just the professionals of Odenton. Because I think it's that, to attract more community members that are diverse, we need to make sure the language is as
Okay.
accessible as possible.
That makes sense. Okay. We can take a look at that.
On the other
Well,
thing,
it's so in a.
Yeah, but use plain language.
Yeah, it's use plain language, yeah, like, so, like the word professional, like, I will act professional, well, when you're in a professional, like, white collar job, that has a certain connotation to it. When you are in more blue collar jobs, that has a different connotation. And so what we think that word means may not be interpreted the same way. And so it's important to make sure that the language is more universal.
We have time to work on that part then?
We are not wordsmithing it in a meeting.
No,
Just say that. That we would blow past our time.
So we can revise that
But we
slightly.
can, yeah, we can
Okay.
take another look at it.
I should have to get that.
All right, did you wanna move on to the,
Yep, so, I sent this around. These were just some notes that may not have always come from the advisory committee, but these are things that Office of Planning and Zoning, as we review the plan, we sort of look at it, hear from individuals, businesses, what's working, what's not working. And just again, this is just a place where we can just throw it down. So in the master plan, we talk about, I think it came up in the last meeting actually, was extending the LDC, which is from the video terminal, I don't know what the official term is, from the slot machines, right? From Arundel Mills, there's a 3-mile radius from Arundel Mills where a fund is established for communities to receive grants, and Odenton Town Center is just outside of that 3-mile radius. So, whether there's an opportunity to extend that and it
Mark,
allows.
I'm sorry, can I ask, is that
Sure.
local legislation or is that state?
I don't know.
Okay, so I don't even think that that's a rule, okay? And I don't know where, and someone's gonna have to show me where it's written that it's 3 miles. It's always been an arbitrary, number. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm smiling because I feel like there's some loophole, right? That
So here's
if you
the-
do business
Correct.
in the area, but
In
if
the-
you're based in Annapolis, for
Correct,
example.
if you do business or whatever, like if your company's in Annapolis, but your efforts are put within that 3-mile radius, then you are allowed to apply for the LDC funds. So as long as you're operating and doing for the benefit within that 3-mile radius. That 3-mile radius, again, I defy anybody to show me that it's 3 miles. It's sort of in writing where it's been established. It has just been sort of an arbitrary mileage radius that was discussed at several meetings and then adopted, not officially, again, from my understanding, but just that's what kind of everybody sort of, I don't even want to say agreed upon, but that's what was discussion. It was left there. It's been argued many, many times as to whether it should be more, whether it should be increased, what should it be. It has to stop somewhere, obviously.
Well, Stuart, you have communities that are some distance apart. If you make it too large, you overlap in communities. Would that be part of the problem?
I think you overlap communities no matter where you are. I don't think that matters. There's no reason. I don't know what the 3-mile,
2 town centers, for example.
so where would that be? Exactly, I don't know.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, that just wasn't anything when it was discussed. Look, there's a lot of history. If anybody wants to come to my office and read through it, I brought some of it a couple meetings ago, but,
So I'm sorry, Stuart, can we,
so anyway,
get back to this?
I'm not sure about where the 3 miles is.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna
whether
look at it,
that's
because there
official.
is state enabling legislation for sure, it's in the code for this, but we can move on.
Yeah, okay, so this is meant to just be a list to see, do we have it all, do we not? We don't need to deliberate each one of these, because that'll happen when we do our master planning process in a couple of years. So, again, Odenton Avenue, things have since changed, potentially with Odenton Avenue, need to reevaluate whether that's still viable. Odenton Town Center is 1,200 acres, we recently gave a bus tour to Leadership and Arundel, and as we were driving around, I said, this is still the Odenton Town Center, and they're like, this was actually when we were making the turn into the industrial area, and people were like, whoa, this is huge. So, do we need to include the industrial area within the Odenton Town Center? Roof lines, this was, I think, something that came up during the parking garage situation where we talked about having to screen everything on the rooftop, but solar panels I don't think are necessarily, or I should say, in different people's eyes, they can look very differently to a air condition HVAC system up on a roof. So, again, maybe reevaluate that. When we do our Region 5 rezoning, we're going to be adding 2 new properties to the Odenton Town Center. One on the north, again, assuming it gets adopted, one on the northeast corner of Southampton Station Circle, and then the trailhead on Piney Orchard Parkway, it's owned by BG&E. But again, the idea is if we include it, then it opens up additional funding to, put in some type of amenities there. So we do plan on doing that, but there's different legislation that set up the tax increment financing, or TIF district. And just because now you add 2 new properties into a boundary doesn't mean that that TIF boundary automatically gets updated. So there are certain things that are tied to certain boundaries for the Odenton Town Center, and we just need to evaluate those when we do the master plan in a few years. And then talking to Chad Jones, he said that he'd like to see more of a connection to Fort Meade, whether it's murals, maybe something outside of master plan as it deals with like how businesses treat military personnel. So just something to explore. But we don't have anything under the code because, again, that's not necessarily your purview. But again, as we do keep our ears open, Sam internally has created a nice spreadsheet that identifies what applicants have applied for relief from the code, and to see if, again, they're keeping these stumbling blocks that maybe we need to remove from the code, or phrase them differently. So again, the master plan was adopted in February 2024, so it hasn't been too long. But again, we like to give it some time to run so that we can see what's working and not working. So again, feel free to reach out to me if you want me to add something else on there. Again, this was really just based on office planning and zoning's analysis, as well as things that we've heard during these meetings. So it wasn't anything that we solicited you all and said, hey, think real hard, what's not working, or what's working, what's not working, and send it to me directly without talking about it in this open forum. So again, we'll continue to do this over the next year, and we can come back and this list will be even longer. So this might be a good segue then to the next item on the agenda, which is the talking about a potential master plan analysis subcommittee. This was, let me pull up. I think I need to stop share and reshare that. Pull this up. See if we can get it. Okay. Oh, that's the same one. Here we go. So one thing that we've been hearing in these committee meetings for some time is, why aren't we seeing the type of development that is envisioned in the master plan, right? So why are we seeing one-off Taco Bells or gas stations or projects that aren't really that pedestrian-oriented, transit-oriented type of development? So again, office planning and zoning, our work plan is write a plan, get it adopted, let it work itself out for 5 or so years, and then come back and again, do that evaluation and make any tweaks necessary. But I know that other folks are sort of, champing at the bit here of, we need to do more of a deeper dive. And office planning and zoning, that's not in our work plan. So we would ask you, the committee, to see where, or what are some of the examples around the country or elsewhere around the world that are sort of those prime examples that you would like to see in the Odenton Town Center, and then sort of looking through it in the lens of the recommendations that we already have in the master plan, and where do those essentially fall short, or where do we need to add additional recommendations so that we can see that type of development. So I'll hand it off to Martin, since I think you may want to spearhead this effort. So.
Yeah, This has been on the mind of many people for a while now. It's like, what works, what hasn't worked, or what doesn't work. And it could be a survey, it could be assessment. It's some way to look at projects that have been successful in our minds and those that have really been challenged. So what would you consider if you were to do that assessment? Transportation, public transportation, biking, walking, restaurants of interest. So not just the drive-by fast food restaurant. Walkability, biking, connection with nature. How is that incorporated in our plan? Is it being realized? How have other town centers done that? As an example for that, the Annapolis Town Center, if you walk in the middle, there's a road on either side, there's a median in the middle. It's done very nicely. If you walk there, you feel like you're surrounded by nature. Not very big, but it's very nice. Simple example, but what else has been done out there? Opportunities to explore and learn. So if you're in a community, are you just going to the Taco Bell every night, in the car wash, or what are you doing? Yeah, the libraries, or what else am I doing? How can I learn and explore more? Convenience, can you get here? Diversity, different viewpoints, different segments of the population. Services, social life, health and wellness, sustainable. Those kind of things could be factors that you could set up in doing your assessment and your survey. And the survey could be started with people you know, town centers you know. It could be online. It could be interviewing people. It could be creating some idea of what's been done out there. Why do we have to start from zero? Can't we use some other good examples in this case? And leverage those examples to figure out how we modify the master plan or how we encourage the county to promote the town center in a certain way. However that's done. We talked about promoting Odenton and giving it a name and all of this before. Can this be used to help focus that and focus the people we want to come in, focus on those to come into the Odenton Town Center with that vision. The other problem, though, I see, even this is great, and we should do it in my view, Stuart has brought this up before about derelict buildings in the area. That doesn't do well for people trying to come in, they want a nice restaurant or something, they don't want to have a facility next to a dilapidated building. So it's a side note, but this is basically, I think, what we need. At least if we provided a report, a deliverable that says, these are the opportunities we have for the Odenton Town Center. These are the areas of the master plan we could modify to reflect that. I think we feel better that we're making a contribution and we're actually seeing the town center be what we envisioned it to be.
And the way we've set it up is, if I was to hang on to another word Marty had said, is create a deliverable. The idea would be this subcommittee does some work, brings it back to the advisory committee, gets it, the OTCAC, provides some additional feedback on that. The subcommittee works on a little bit more and then presents it to the committee again. And really then those recommendations help feed into then the next update for the master plan. So it's, you all are doing some advanced pre-planning before office planning and zoning, it becomes part of our work plan. But it will, the work of the subcommittee will inform then the next master plan update. We've got that tied in to the suggested schedule here.
And Mark, can it be also used for promoting the town center in some way? How is the town center promoted? What is done to actually say, here's the new town center, here's what it's going to look like, here's the master plan?
Yes.
Is there some way that the county promotes that?
So again, is I want to go back to the work plan.
Yeah.
Because I think that's very important here. Is your all's role is written recommendations on development presentations, written recommendations on the annual report, written recommendations on the master plan, that's how we'll interpret this, and bylaws. So as far as like becoming, or providing some information on how to market the OTC, I don't think that that necessarily falls within this scope of work.
We don't have to do
Yeah.
the mechanics of that.
Yeah,
But we could have a report that whoever gets it and say, how you can promote this, or we could figure out from your report how we promote the house.
Martin, you know what's really unfortunate? Is we had economic development here 2 meetings ago,
Yeah.
and they couldn't tell us.
Yeah,
All they talked about was Glen Burnie, Glen Burnie, Glen Burnie.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, really, really disturbing.
Yeah.
well,
And not
they
only-
mentioned that they put in for a grant to do some of the same stuff here in Odenton.
And then we got a mural that we talked about, possible spot at the train station.
Yeah.
All they talked about was the mural down in Glen Burnie.
Yeah.
But never did they say, you know what, maybe we'll reach out to them and see if we can talk to them about a mural at the train station, since you have a spot for it.
Well, Kaylee is the person who's doing any kind of placemaking in Glen Burnie, and Odenton is also on her list, and so the next time she's at a meeting, we could talk to her about it, but she does have Odenton on the radar. I know I've talked to her directly about it. And the fact that she's part of the meetings here does show that she is hearing that from us. It's not, I don't think they are completely oblivious.
Hearing and listening
To
are
that.
2 different things.
You're not wrong, Stuart, but
Yeah,
I
that's
understand
all.
that there's also only so much money that the county has available, and they are seeing what's working in Glen Burnie and using that as a test site. And so I'm excited about them seeing what's successful and bringing that to Odenton instead of having Odenton necessarily be, you know, the petri dish to figure out what's actually gonna work.
They had a chance to bring us something like 2 months ago and they didn't. They just didn't. It's just my opinion. I'm not being argumentative or anything, it's just my opinion.
Okay.
I've been doing this way too long, I've invested a lot in this area, and they're not around. They're not.
Do you wanna finish up with this section?
No, I think then, again, is, Martin, Colette, and Office Planning and Zoning, we drafted up this document, we sent it to you all ahead of time. It's a suggested framework based on some of the things that we talked about, like tapping into the Resilience Authority, how to do some outreach, and how that can then play into and then we suggested this schedule
I
here,
think
so.
that's fine. I think it's good.
Are there any questions from committee members about the subcommittee, or what would be included, or the timing, or the commitment, or anything that makes you think maybe I should not join this committee? Because I know all of you really want to.
So these are like a different set of meetings for those time periods.
Yes. These would not be happening
Correct.
during this meeting. These would be additional meetings, and the timing and everything would really be up to the subcommittee.
Okay.
And it can be 4 members or less, just so that you don't have a quorum. And Colette does have the authority to choose the 4 if there are more than that, based on the rules and procedures.
I did make a suggestion to Mark. There's a fairly, not easy way, but there's a way that you could see all town center in one place at the same time and ask lots of questions of developers. And that's at the International Council of Shopping Centers. Anybody familiar with them? Okay. It's the largest trade organization in the world for retailers and shopping center developers. And there's a national convention in Las Vegas. Actually, Anne Arundel County does attend, and economic development is out there. There's a local meeting, which I apologize because it was changed. It used to be in December. They changed it to March, and then they went to September. So I'm not sure in 2006 when that's going to be. But it's it's in DC. It was at National, what's it called? Harbor. Okay, but they moved it back to DC this coming year. And then,
Baltimore, are you in Baltimore?
no, it's never in Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the Mid-Atlantic region, they call it. It's the Mid-Atlantic one, and it's in DC. And then there's one in New York that's in December 4th or 5th this year that I'll be attending for 2 days. So It's a way to see everything at one place. There's 3D models, there's renderings, and then the developers are there. Well, developers aren't necessarily always there because it's a leasing people and it's a leasing function. It's not really anything else than that. But there is an opportunity to ask questions to the right people, and if not, to get who those right people are to be able to contact them afterwards. So, just a suggestion. Mark said the county would be happy to pick up the bill for 3 or 4 people to go.
We didn't add that to our priority.
Right, that's when, this is public, right? This is recorded as well.
Yeah.
I'll take that back, because he didn't say that.
I would like to see us get outside of just Anne Arundel County, see what other communities are doing. We just hit, Glen Burnie and Annapolis. What about, in Columbia, when they just put up, not in, because I always go to there, to, Bus Boys and Poets, in that little area for people.
The Meriwether District.
It's like,
In 5 years, they did that, and we can't get Odenton done. In 5 years,
But
3
they
million
also
square
longer
feet.
did
than that.
in Laurel,
What's that?
where they
It's been
used to
longer than
have the Burlington Coat Factory. All of that whole area.
That was
has
also
been
one
redone.
developer.
We need
That's
to
the difference,
expand
yeah.
to see what others
It's a
are
big
coming.
difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And I've always said that about Odenton, there's a big difference in one developer.
Yes.
Parole Town Center, and Mark corrected me, the size of the Parole Town Center, I don't think everybody really realizes. They think it's that I knew it was a little bit bigger, but Mark gave me a tour. There you go.
Yeah.
Who gets credit for that?
Yeah, so, the large parole project was 23 acres. It was one developer, so you're able to accomplish that. And that's really the difference in being able to do a town center. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, again, we tried to convince the county to buy everything around Odenton so that it could be put on there. That's what's being done at the train station. It's being given to one developer, and that's why, although this is the 4th time around for this, so whether they are able to do it, I don't know. But,
It's gonna happen.
you know what? Somebody's gonna have to start betting me, because I think the people at MTA should be taking me to dinner at Ruth Chris, because they lost their bet, but it was a one-sided bet. So I really think that, there's a difference between properties that are under control of one person, rather than just going off over a master plan. The lay of the land, and I've said this all before, the lay of the land makes a
Stuart,
lot.
I wanna cut you
I'm gonna,
off.
one second in that one. You got a lot of small parcels.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's hard to get a lot of consistency. Like when the presentation today, would have loved the county to say, we're gonna get rid of Dare Road. It's splitting up the project, we can do one thing.
Yeah.
It would have been a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question for Stuart.
I'll stop.
Real quick. At this shopping.
ICSC, sure.
ICS, they have universities there, planners, looking at livable cities.
Yes.
They do.
So they have, it's not just the developers, it's the trades too. So there's a whole area with the trades, with architects and planners and engineers and.
Okay, that's cool.
So Martin, you can put this on your vacation list,
Exactly.
report back to the committee next year when you go.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like it'll be a
Sounds
very
like a write-off to
exciting
me, Mark.
It's a write-off.
subcommittee. Are there any other questions related to the subcommittee? Yes,
Just real
Sandy.
quick. The Mid-Atlantic Conference, is it a duplicate of what takes place in Vegas, just on a smaller scale? Because it's just
Yeah, and
Mid-Atlantic?
the primary focus is the DMV.
Okay,
Yeah, so there are developers from all over the country that are developing in the DMV, but it primarily focuses, actually, I have to correct myself, it's the Mid-Atlantic, so it goes into Pennsylvania.
okay.
It goes over to West Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, maybe even a little bit into southern New Jersey.
Okay.
It sounds like a great field trip for this subcommittee. So,
There's an incentive.
all right? Any other questions related to the subcommittee? No, okay.
And then how do you want to go about seeing who's interested, and do you do that tonight, or do you want
I mean,
folks
is
to just
there,
email office planning and zoning and we'll pass that?
is there anyone who's generally interested, or thinking about it other than Martin?
Other than Martin.
Well, Martin's
committee of
already
one,
signed
Martin.
on. He's
Committee
in.
of one.
We cannot have a committee of one.
Easy job, I gotta put stuff on the internet.
Go on the ICS scene, if you need my password, I'll give it to you, Mike.
Well, think
Get
about
into
it,
the site.
email Mark,
Yeah,
and then hopefully we'll have a few more folks, in January.
yeah, we gave ourselves a little bit of a buffer for you all to think about it.
Yeah, Martin might
Oh,
do some one-on-one outreach to recruit folks.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Okay.
Did you have anything else on that, or are we
Uh,
moving on to the advocacy new business?
Yeah, no, that was it for the subcommittee,
Okay.
right? Martin, if you have one to have the last word on it.
Yeah. All right, so moving on then, advocacy and new business. So I will share that I was invited to attend the press conference at the MARC station earlier this month, on behalf of the committee. The Secretary for Transportation for the state came in with staff members on the train. It was very exciting, and they announced the development that is next to where our large.
Ticket office? No.
No, this is on the rest of the parking lot, next to where the big garage is going in that we've already talked about. So very exciting. It'll be almost 600 units. Playgrounds, retail, yes.
If Andrew wants to say
Yeah.
anything too, right?
Andrew is welcome to also chime in on this, but I expect we'll be hearing a lot more about it in the coming months. Andrew, do you want to chime in at all?
So I guess Homes for America was fortunate enough to be shortlisted originally, and then we were selected in partnership with a market rate developer. So Homes for America is going to be developing the affordable 150 units, and then Questar is going to do the 435 market rate. And collectively, between our two organizations, we will be the master developers. And so I understand the cynicism of some, but we've got a great plan. We've got a lot of good support, and we're already sort of trying to plot a course. And so I will have to change hats to a different beanie when I come in and talk as the developer and give you all a chance to hopefully see some exciting things, including 30,000 square feet of retail.
And the playground looked amazing, by the way, in the rendering. So for those who are interested, it was covered by the news outlets and the newspapers, and they have images of the renderings online that you can go look at. Yes,
This is all exciting.
it is all exciting, yes. And I'm sure we will have ample time for concerns and for all of our questions.
Anybody talk about transportation there?
Well, I mean, they came in on the train station. So yes, there was absolutely conversation around transportation, not about 175, but I know that we will be able to ask those questions
Okay.
and raise those
Colette,
concerns.
I have a question for you,
Yes.
okay, and I don't know, I'm gonna try to ask it properly.
Respect.
Do we need
No,
to?
it's not even that, it's not even a matter of respect, I just don't wanna be asking something out okay, so I'll be straightforward with you. I was a little taken back that the committee wasn't invited.
I
For all
was
the efforts
surprised that
we
I
put
was
in.
invited,
Well,
honestly.
I understand that, but now, with you being invited, it's a public situation, it's in a public place.
Mhm.
I personally feel that you should have extended that to the committee.
Okay,
I'm just saying it, I'm just making a point, it's fine that you didn't, it's just my opinion. We all
So
sit
I-
here and hang on, we all sit here and put a lot of time into this, and we're gonna be having to respond to it. And I think it's an opportunity for all of us to be educated on it early on in the process, that's all.
okay. Thank
That's
you
all.
very
I'm
much for
done,
sharing
that's
that.
all. I'm not
Um,
mad, I'm not upset, I'm just making a point.
Okay. I don't know who got an invitation because it came directly to me.
Mhm.
So
It was-
I was not aware that it did not go to you all.
No, I
Andrew?
understand it didn't, yeah.
And
I
I
think-
understand what you're saying, because, someone mentioned it to me yesterday. It's like, I don't know anything about that, you know? So, yeah, that would have been nice.
I think they purposely were trying to keep it as a small group.
They have a lot of purpose. So it was the first one in 2008. There was a purpose to that.
Well, I have
So-
specifically asked for the committee to be invited to the ribbon cutting for Blue Oaks. I've also asked for the groundbreaking for the library to finally happen, which at this point seems like it's gonna be in the spring, and to have the committee invited to that.
Thank you.
So I am trying to get the committee invited to these events. For this thing, I had no idea who was invited. I actually thought it was unintentional that it came to me. It wasn't until, Mark, you said, hey, did you get this invitation? I was like, oh, this wasn't just like spam or something.
Yeah, they had requested just the chair, office planning and zoning, we weren't invited to the event. Like Andrew said, I think it was purposely meant to be a small group.
Nice picture.
Yeah, that was
It was a
like,
nice picture.
I was very shocked.
Yeah.
Now, let
It
me
just
ask you a
turned
question.
down
It
my
doesn't
stuff.
look anything like the picture that was in the Baltimore Business Journal all summer and saying what it was gonna be, because that was never gonna be built. I don't know where that came from. Hey, Andrew, can I ask you a question? How high are you going? What's the tallest building?
To your former point, I think MDOT had some kind of concept that they created and sort of said, here's what we might like to see. We, through our sort of master planner, came up with our own version. So that's probably what you saw referenced. And I believe we're trying to figure out between like 4 and 6 stories. That's sort of what we're thinking. And I'll be honest and say we're struggling a little bit because originally it didn't go forward because of the lack of the parking garage. The parking garage is moving forward now, which is great, but the problem is the parking garage is moving forward, so now we're trying to figure out how to make the plan fit around the parking garage, which is not ideal because it should be more about sort of the residential space and how to fit the parking garage around that. But, it's moving forward. The county's going to build the garage, so that's great, and that answers your question, I think.
Are you gonna have to go to steel at 6 stories?
So let's table this conversation
It's
for when this
important.
project actually comes to the committee.
Well,
It's not part of the discussion right now.
Andrew,
so-
give me a call, please.
So, yes, you all can handle this offline. I do want to move on because don't we have a citation?
Yeah, so just real quick, just a reminder that our December meeting is canceled. And with that, Jason at our previous meeting had mentioned that he would be stepping down at the end of the year, so this would be your last meeting then. And we do have a citation from the county executive. I'll present it here, and then I do want to read what was sent to the county executive for the citation. So again, the citation on here says, the residents of Anne Arundel County, Maryland salute Jason in recognition of your commitment and advocacy to the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee. We are deeply grateful for your dedicated work as both member and the chair of the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee. You have selfishly contributed your time and expertise to develop a vision that will ensure the Odenton community remains a healthy, livable, and vibrant place for years to come. Thank you for your outstanding service and commitment. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thank you for helping make the Anne Arundel County. So, and I just want to take another step here too, is when you do submit a citation to the county executive, those were his words. These were the words that I had provided, and again, we'll put these, we don't typically do verbatim in our meeting notes, but we'll do that here for this time. Let me blow this up so that you can all read here. So again, Jason has been a tireless advocate for smart growth and development in the Odenton Town Center. He began attending Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee meetings in May of 2016. I went back all to the meeting notes. If I've got that wrong, let me know. But that's looking at all the visitor logs. That's what I have. And then you were appointed to the committee in 2019, serving from chair from August 2022 to July 2025. Again, your term ended in July officially, but we do allow individuals to stay on until a replacement is found. So during the 7 years Jason served on the advisory committee, he missed one meeting.
Overachiever.
Yeah.
I was legitimately out of the.
One meeting out of 60 meetings.
I remember that meeting.
Yeah, and you were devastated when you called me and said, "Oh, I've got to miss it." So lastly, Jason's commitment to the Odenton Town Center Advisory Committee and the community has not only improved the built environment, but also county processes. He advocated for a new park, better development proposals, standardization of the OTCAC meetings, and an overall method to ensure more information is shared with the community. last paragraph is more just about the committee's role and responsibilities overall. But again, just wanted to share those words with Jason and the committee, and again, I'll pass this to you then too. So again, thank you for your work.
Thanks,
Thank
Jason.
you, Jason.
I am picking up being a den leader for my son, Scouts, and so like that is sucking up a ton of time.
Joyfully, right?
I'll keep track of what some of the projects are, because I want to see things progress. Like, I'm excited about the park starting. I'll be excited to see what the welcome package looks like. So I have some thoughts on what it could look like.
We have to make sure he doesn't get access to the Google Drive.
Yes, that's okay.
I'll give you the password to that too, Jason.
Yeah, Jason has done an amazing job for us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
It's
you.
good people that are on the committee that make the committee work. And so I appreciate all of your participation and comments, because the committee works because it's people, it's not it's a person. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right, so does anyone else have anything else to add for advocacy, new business? If not, we can move on to public comment. So at this time, I'd like to welcome public comment. If you're interested in speaking, please raise your hand either virtually or here in person. Share your name, address, and if you are representing an organization, what that organization is. You have 2 minutes to share your comment, and we'll start with anyone in person and then move to those dialing in via Zoom. And if you wish to submit written comments, you are always welcome to email the Odenton Town Center team at otc@aacounty.org. So, yes?
Hi, Markinette, I live in the Odenton Town Center, behind this room. So I guess my concern is similar to what we were talking about earlier about, I guess, new development. Parking is, or congestion is the big concern. We had a meeting, I feel like it was earlier this year, maybe last year, I don't know what year it is anymore. But they came to talk to us about the new apartments that are being built right over that little cut after the turn. And so it was like 300 something. We talked about, congestion, but I've never heard an update. I don't know if this Homes for America is that community, if that's another area. But I did read in the master plan, it does have some comments about, walkable communities or just things as a way of addressing that. I'm not sure that that's addressing the concern regarding, commute in the morning. They address congestion on the weekend when people are not really going to work. But right now in the morning, as you may know, you're going back to the 2 roads just to get out of there, coming home, people coming off the train. It's not, I don't believe, going to address 300 people, 600 cars, already adding to the congestion. And if this other community that they mentioned today, I'm just trying to understand, how are you guys helping to make suggestions of how it's one-way street going in and out to make other roads or something to address the congestion that is inevitable at this point. So, I did look up that website, YCSC, there's one in March, in DC.
Thank you.
There you go.
March in DC for that. All right.
Back to March.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Anyone else in person? Yes, go ahead.
So, I'm during the attitude to come here from me. So several things. First, for your code of conduct discussion, I'm wondering if you understand the generational bias that we might have compared to the younger generation who tends to have online social media influencing the way they are being civil. And how you have, my own personal anecdotal evidence is that educate them to not use leet speak because it's not really meant for in-person discussions. So the generational differences between
Some speed.
yes, it's actually their internet slang. So you want me to explain that? Yes, where they say win with the first letter and you with the last letter. So that's pretty much something. So it can change what the expectations are because there are in-person conversation experiences really limited or influenced by online discussion. And I've seen that before. So something out there I want to add, because as you want to bring in the younger generation to get their opinions and their perspectives, something I have to consider. On the second one though is your discussion on comparing Odenton Town Center to the other ones you brought up, Annapolis and Columbia. One thing I want to ask is that those town centers tend to have height limits that are much greater than what we have in Odenton. And won't that impact what you also brought up, Stuart, about developers considering rooftops? If you're going to artificially limit them to 5 or 6, that makes us now comparable to what they put up with like 10 to 15. So that can affect their interest and desires and what they want to develop. So you have to compare Odenton to other town centers that have that kind of height restrictions on their buildings.
So one of the things with height is cost. Once you go over 5 stories, okay, 4 stories of stick built on a concrete podium, you need to go to steel. Steel affects the rents. The reason a lot of times to go vertical is to take advantage of views. No offense to anybody in Odenton, we don't have any views. Okay, so when you go to the 8th story of Annapolis Town Center, you start to see the Chesapeake Bay. Those views attract higher rents, which enable them to pay for the steel that they put up to go vertical. That was the reason why I asked the question to Andrew about the height, is trying to figure out how they're gonna account for 504 people or units. I don't see it happening. But nonetheless, the effort's worth trying, but no one else has been able to figure it out to this point based on a lot of things. Transportation, there's gonna be traffic somewhere. Okay, it's just always the case. So the train station's been here over 100 years. Okay, and so that's where you're gonna end up getting people to go, and you're gonna get a flow of traffic. People have a choice to live in a place or not live in a place, and people live where there's traffic and put up with a lot of times because of the convenience of where they have to go to work. Other people need their cars or utilize their cars for work or whatever, so they can actually get themselves away from that traffic pattern. So it's sometimes really difficult to marry the two.
No, and I get that, but it's just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
it's only a one-lane street.
Yeah.
And we're putting up more houses and making it harder for people to get out. That's
Yeah.
all I'm
So
saying.
we are receiving public comment, committee members, we are not responding. So
Okay.
let's limit our responses
You got
right
it.
now.
But
This
just
is the
But I
opportunity,
totally get what you're saying.
this is the opportunity for the public to chime in. Jerry, did you want to finish your thoughts?
Yes, the question about Glen Burnie having a priority. How many other areas have priority higher than Odenton? I want to know, because are we second on the list? Because after Glen Burnie, who's next going to be like that? That is going to consider, because yes, I understand they have a list as well, that's an additional list. And the final thing is I also want to give my commendation on Jason's service, because I am from his original location, and I was there when he was also part of the HOA and started, I guess, his first public service. And you remember how you said when he came from where, one of the southern states, I don't know, one of the Carolinas, I believe. You were really upset about how the members of that board did not serve the way that your code of conduct described. So, ironically, that's how I started. So yes, I was there pre-OT. So, and yes, I can see a lot of services being on the board myself, so I'm out there. So wish you well on where you want to go, and hope whatever other community gets you doesn't pull you in to get what you want.
Thank you, thank you. Do we have anyone online?
Don't know, because it says Fireflies, AI note taker,
Yeah.
Evelyn. So.
That's,
We figured you just invited the AI to take notes of the meeting.
I mean, it is,
There you go.
is an efficient way to do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, I will assume there's no one online that is dialing in. So, our next meeting is scheduled for January 27th at 6 p.m. Are we at the library?
Nope, still here at the Western District Police
So
Station.
maybe bundle up, maybe not, hard to know. Today was actually pretty good. Wish everyone wonderful holidays. both Thanksgiving and whatever holiday you may be celebrating in December. Feel free to take some cookies on the way out. And if there's no objection, I would love to adjourn this meeting.
Motion?
Excellent.
Sorry.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let's adjourn this meeting. Meeting adjourned at 7:29.